important mission I wanted to accomplish. Finding the booths that stood out the most to me. They do this really well. I find myself drawn to it. You almost want to trap your customers. Last month, I found myself at SJ Made Summer Fair's event, which is nothing new for me as an artist who travels around. I find myself selling my art at pop-up events almost weekly, but this time, no, I was not selling as a business. I went simply as an attendee. I had the opportunity to cosplay as a customer. One, it is just a lot of fun for me to go to these kinds of events even before I was selling at them. I did like to attend them for fun. But two, there was a very important mission I wanted to accomplish this weekend, and it was finding the booths that stood out the most to me. Now, why would I do that? Like I mentioned before, I sell my art at a lot of these pop-up events, but I've been doing this for about 3 to 4 years, and every few months I have this pattern where I find myself getting a little antsy, a little itchy, a little anxious, and wanting to upgrade my booth. I believe in constant improvement. I just want to always be a better version of myself than I was a few years ago. And so that's kind of where I'm in my phase right now. I think my booth setups have been pretty good, but there's always room to do even better. And I wanted to go to an event with my eyes wide open, and I wanted to just see what caught my attention. Did I find the most captivating? What drew my eyes to it the most quickly? And not just that though, not just what I was attracted to, but also what booths encouraged me to stay there too. I just wanted to be a customer for once, and from their point of view, see what catches my attention. And then based off of that, upgrade my booth setup to cater to that exactly. Basically, this was like homework for me, but also it's kind of fun homework for me to do. And I have lots of friends who went to this event. So even though I wasn't selling, I still found myself at an artist dinner, which is always really fun. Since I had this mission already planned in my mind, I decided why not make content of it? Because it's 2025. Let's make content of everything. And I figured my events are getting sparser as the year comes to an end. So I figured this would be a good vlog to fill in those gaps in between other event vlogs and studio vlogs, because as great as those are, little variety is good too. So all these things in mind, I grabbed my vlog camera, I grabbed my wallet, and I grabbed my husband and made him drive me the 1.5 hours all the way to the Santa Clara Convention Center in San Jose. I've sold at this convention center and even this event in the past before. It wasn't a very strong event for me, so with Anime Expo at the beginning of the month and Bite of Seattle at the end of the month, I figured I could skip it and I would be fine. And honestly, I'm glad that I did, because I really needed that break in between, and it was just a lot of fun to go as an attendee for once instead of like working an event. We showed up to the Santa Clara Convention Center, and right off the bat, it was already really packed. And originally I thought that was because of the SJ Made event, but apparently there were like 2 or 3 other things happening at this convention center. There were lots of people in the lobby. As I stepped into the actual giant hall, there were a good amount of people, especially considering we got there at 5 and the event ended at 6. So still decent traffic. While I did talk to some people, they said it was on the slower side for an SJ Made event. Still, as a customer, was exciting enough, I think. I always say this, but even a slow SJ Made event is still a pretty good SJ Made event. As I spent the next hour walking through the halls, saying hi to friends, honestly, I did a little bit more socializing than like research and homework, so I was trying to like squeeze in the like research part in between the social interactions. There were 4 different things that the booths all shared that caught my attention the most, and I wanted to share and break down those things. So number 1, cohesive colors and branding. As you're walking through, it can be really overstimulating, especially the busier an event gets. You're getting shoulder to shoulder, and as extroverted as I am, I hate it when strangers touch me. So I start getting like angry and a little emotional at some point. All the overwhelming colors and product, people, it can be too much to take in at once sometimes. And so when a booth is really cohesive with its colors, with its branding, with its message, with the story that it's telling, with its products, it becomes a lot easier for my overwhelmed eyeballs and mind to digest and to comprehend. They were almost like a breath of fresh air. It's like I can't take in all this information, but I can take in this one single cohesive idea. So for example, I want to use my friend's booth, Cappuccino, Vora of Cappuccino. Her booth in particular looks like a cute little house. And so like when you look at that, it takes you like 0.5 seconds to understand exactly what's happening. It's a house, cute, cozy, comfortable. As you approach her booth, you'll also see like products that are very cozy and adorable, and it just kind of suits like the kawaii aesthetic that she has established here. This is what I mean by like seeing all these different booths. Oh, there's a house. Like, you know, it kind of gives your mind a break because it's one easy thought to digest as opposed to, you know, just a bunch of different things in your face. Another thing like makes it really easy to digest is a certain color scheme. I think of like if you have a certain color like blue or pink. In my case, I like lots of blacks and reds. heads. Again, maybe you don't have like a little house to paint a whole story, but you can still tell some kind of scheme, some kind of landscape with the colors that you have going on. Again, makes it really easy to digest, and it becomes really attractive in the midst of all this chaos. Personally, it feels like a lighthouse in an ocean when a booth is just so cohesive and I know exactly the story it's trying to tell me. I find myself drawn to it. Those booths really stood out to me because of it. And again, a breath of fresh air for my tired eyeballs. The trick with that though is one, like simplifying. Instead of having like 15 colors at your booth, unless your theme is rainbow, then that kind of makes sense. Maybe like 1, 2, at the most 3. Just keeping it really simple like that. Even textures can kind of count too. Nicole at Moonspice, she incorporates a lot of like wooden patterns and grass because her whole thing is like animals and frogs, creatures, and so that works really well. But the trick with this is to pick colors, patterns, textures, an aesthetic that actually matches your brand. When you're choosing like brand colors, brand aesthetic, brand story, you have to make sure that that matches the actual products that you're selling. So for example, you have like bright pink booth. It's very kawaii, it's very cute, but then you get close and it's like, I don't know, gore, like horror characters, not like cute gore, like scary gore. Maybe that's an aesthetic somewhere out there, but I know as a whole, those two aesthetics don't super often go together, maybe that's a little more niche than what we're looking for at an event like this. You want to make sure that whatever brand aesthetic you decide on, it pairs naturally with the products that you're selling. In my case, I sell art that is people describe it to me as like edgy. Like it's just like lots of baddies that I like to draw. And so I try to choose colors that are a little bit more edgy, red and black. So yeah, the first thing that really caught my attention were cohesive colors and cohesive branding and just booths that had an overall story to tell and did a really good job communicating it. Second thing that really caught my attention, it was very simple. It's height. SJ made events. There is no height limit other than like you can't exceed the ceiling, I guess. Any booth that exceeded a certain height automatically caught my eyes. I'm a short girly, can't always see past all of the heads above me. It's nice when a booth exceeds those heads and I can see the tops of it. This was something that Anime Expo didn't offer. There is a height limit for booths. You cannot exceed 7.5 feet. And quite frankly, for a booth, 7.5 feet is actually very short. And so once all these booths were like at the same height, I really could only see maybe like the top foot at Anime Expo. And because everything was the same height too, no one particular booth really stood out to me other than like aesthetically, or if like, they had Love and Deep Space stuff. At SJ Made, since there is no height limit, those booths that had more height automatically caught my eye. Even if it wasn't something I was necessarily interested in. Like, I'm not in the mood for chocolate, but I see a giant chocolate banner and I'm gonna look at it. Might even find myself hanging out at the booth, even if I don't buy anything. So it's a really simple thing. It's relatively easy to accomplish too. It just takes a little bit of time and sometimes even research. So for example, there are certain tabletop setups that have extendable poles. And when I first started doing my business, I was a little intimidated by those because I didn't really know what to Google to find those, like poles that go on table. It didn't really give me the results that I needed until I started watching videos like this and people started recommending those products in the description box below. So if you're one of those people looking for products like that, I'll have those tabletop poles in the description box below. The ones that I use, I personally like them, but that's just a little, throwing a little bone out there for anyone who was like me when they're starting off and I was like, I don't know what to Google. Hit that link below. You don't need to Google anything. Or a relatively easy solution to come to, get more grid cubes, get poles that go higher, find displays that go a little bit taller. When you're first starting out, it's okay to start a little short, but just know that ideally height really helps a lot, especially at places like a convention center. Now those first 2 points are things that quite frankly, I already knew. Those were things that were more reinforced for me as opposed to like something brand new that I learned. But this third point was something that I had never quite articulated. It's a thought that I had in the back of my mind, but I wasn't able to like give words to it until recently. The third type of booth that really caught my attention were booths that were able to create an enclosed space just for their brands. And what I mean by this is like when I looked at this booth and I got close enough to it, all I saw was this booth. They were able to create walls off from the other businesses around them so that when I was there, I was only focused on this particular business. business. The way that they were able to accomplish this was on some sides they had backdrops. Grid cubes actually do a really good job at this, at creating an enclosed space for all of your products, and then just having like a small window for checkout. I noticed that like if there's too much negative space, that negative space creates room for you to see other businesses. This is something my own table has done several times whenever I look at my booth. My shirts are really high and then my stickers are really low. And then there's like this gap in the middle. I'll take like booth photos and like the person in the booth behind me will be standing in the place where I'm supposed to be standing, and I'll see their products. Your mind gets mixed messages of two different businesses. You know, it doesn't take great pictures. It also doesn't make that great for an experience, is what I'm learning. You almost want to trap your customers in your own little world. You want them to be convinced that there is nothing else beyond our walls and it's just us. And once they're trapped here, they can't help but fall in love with your products and buy your stuff and become a loyal follower and customer or subscriber or whatever. What I've learned is that I want to create this little enclosed space, my own universe within this space where people feel like they almost get lost in it, you know? I think of like, for example, this is going like beyond small business. I think of like Gentle Monster. They do this really well whenever they have like big launches, and they create these crazy abstract art scenes, and you step into this world and you feel like you don't exist in 2025. Instead, you exist in Gentle Monster's universe, and all you're thinking about is these weird sunglasses that maybe don't look that weird in this universe. They look kind of cool, and maybe I should fork over $500 for these black pink shades. And especially when you do those first two things right, if you have really well-developed colors and a brand story, and now you've trapped them in there and there's lots of height so they can't see beyond it, I think you can succeed at trapping them in your own little universe, you know? I keep saying the word trap. That sounds terrible. So maybe just like encapsulating you into our little world. I don't know. But you guys get what I'm trying to say. It's not malicious. It's a business. The word that kept coming to mind was like a wall. I just wanted to create more walls within my little space so that you don't see beyond it. You only see the world that I've created. Moving forward, that's something I really want to incorporate more into my tables and in my booths. I think another way of thinking of it is getting rid of that negative space. If you have empty space, try to use it as best as you can. Not just to fill up space, to fill up space well. So booths that caught my attention, cohesive branding and colors, lots of height, did a good job at cutting me off from the rest of the world and getting me to focus on them. And lastly, and I think this is kind of, I don't want to say the most important, but it's kind of like the baseline for everything. They had products and art that resonated with me. You can do those first three things fantastically. You can excel at them. You can go above and beyond, blow people away with your branding. But at the end of the day, if your products aren't what this customer wants, probably won't make a purchase with you. I don't know. I impulsively bought from brands that didn't really resonate with me because they did a really good job at those. But at the end of the day, they never really won me over. I never repurchased and I kind of forgot about them. No, it was a very impulsive buy. And that isn't to say impulsive buys aren't helpful. You want a few of those in your business too. At the end of the day, you want loyal customers who are bought into your business. And the way that you really, really do that is you give them products that they actually want and they actually like. So yeah, I did find myself drawn to a lot of booths, but whether or not I actually purchased the product was a different story. What I'm trying to say with this last point is those first 3 points are more like the icing on the cake. At the end of the day, you want to focus on offering a high quality product to an audience who really, really wants it. That being said, if you don't package that product well enough, sometimes the audience doesn't find that. For example, I learned this very well back in February when I sold at SJ Made Friend Fest. I've sold at this event before. It was okay. I was determined to put in more effort to make this event work for me. I figured one really easy way to do that was to buy a big backdrop of my art. And on this art, I feature my best-selling, most popular pieces, characters and works that just really resonate with my customers, blew them up as big as I could, put it behind me, and I was able to double my sales from 2024. I mean, also, I did have more product, but the biggest difference was that backdrop, was create. I think this contributed a lot to that third point where I kind of created a little world for my customers to get lost in. I was able to advertise what kind of products, what kind of message I'm trying to sell to people from farther away. So people, and they told me this several times, from several booths down the hall, they saw my artwork and they're like, I like that. I want to go find out what she's selling. And when they got there, the products that I was selling matched the story that I was trying to tell, and I was able to attract the audience that I was trying to attract. So with those 4 things learned, I ended the day with Hot Pot with some artist friends, and it was a really great day. I really enjoy going to events. It reminds me of before I started selling at them. I can't help but get inspired seeing all of these businesses putting themselves out there, working really hard, chasing their dreams, sharing a little bit of what goes on in their hearts and their minds with the people around them. I can't help but feel a little inspired and uplifted by it, and it's just something that I really enjoy doing. But it's also good for my business too, to kind of get an outsider's perspective so that when I'm back on the inside, I know what's going through their minds and I can best accommodate them and, you know, hopefully get them to buy from me. I hoped that you learned a little bit from this video as I just shared the things that stuck out to me. Of course, all of this is just my own personal opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. When you attend events like this, what kind of booths catch your attention? Let me know, and let's have a conversation about it below. And I know that personally, I'm going to implement these things immediately. I already sold at Bite of Seattle, and I incorporated a little bit of that, of what I've learned at Bite of Seattle at this event. And my next one is going to be Otakon. And again, I'm trying to incorporate that. It's just gonna be a little tricky because I'm flying across the country. If you're curious to see how Otakon goes for me, that's actually going to be my next vlog. As you're watching this, I am in DC selling at the moment, so come say hi if you're there. And if not, you can catch that vlog next Friday at 9 a.m. In fact, if you like this vlog, please make sure to like and subscribe. That way you are notified when I upload more vlogs like this on Fridays at 9 a.m. I hope that you will join the Kelsey Kishi Draws journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one where I'll be selling in Washington, DC at Otakon. Bye! My contacts are so dry right now. I genuinely, these are like dailies, and I'm on like, I think I've been wearing these for like 2 months. No, I was selling at SJ Made, and I had my hair done like this. People were like, whoa, your forehead. Not like in a mean way, just like they never see it because of my bangs. And I was like, yeah, I know. So everyone say hello to the special guest today. Last month, I went to SJ Made's summer fair event. Not, why is this opening line killing me? What am I trying to say? Any other colors that I might have chosen. Sorry, that's an alarm. Mine was like a wall, like, not like build a wall. Okay, I'm gonna take that out.